Welcome to the Waves of Change podcast, where we aim to inspire the listener to awaken to their purpose and take the action required to live life on their own terms. My name is Darragh, confidence and mindset coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and humanitarian. I will be sitting down with creators from all walks of life who grew through the waves of change in their lives to be making the impact in the world they are today. Good morning, Renata. My beautiful friend all the way from Brazil, sister from another mister. Welcome onto the show. I will give you a little bit better introduction to that. So high five, high five. I'm just going to start by acknowledging the original custodians of the land on which I live. I know you are deeply in touch with the natives in your homeland, so I'm extremely excited to share these stories with you. So we acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country we are speaking on today. We recognise their continued connection to the land and waters and thank them for protecting this coastline and its ecosystems since time began. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nation people who may listen today. Nana, my beautiful sister from another mister, my dear friend, sister, medicine woman, and a women's embodiment coach and deep healer of the Western world and its relationship with the Amazonian natives. Nana, I would really, really love to welcome you onto the podcast today as somebody who I've got a deep level of love and respect for, and to, as how you operate as a woman, as a healer, as a human, both ferocious with love and tenderness and gentleness when need to be. And watching your evolution has been one of great inspiration. I will allow you to take it from here. So thank you again. Good morning.
Good morning. Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me in on your show and your podcast. Thank you for this beautiful invitation. I absolutely love you and your family. So just hanging out with you and just dropping in and tapping into whatever wants to come through our vessels today is such a joy to me. And yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Deep respect for you and love and appreciation for all that you do as well. And I absolutely just love bathing in your energy.
Nana, thank you very much. I receive all of that. So yeah, let's give us a little rundown on where you're from, what childhood was like for you growing up.
So born and raised in Brazil, and uh, was born in a family of medicine women, and my grandmother was the head of a temple here in Brazil, and my she had 10 kids, and almost half women, half men, and all women were very much connected with medicine and kind of took on that path. And my mom is the one who really embodied most and really continued leading her life the most through that medicine that I grew up in. And so that was always very much present in our lives. Just being treated with plants and having now we hear so much of the steam baths and just like the salt baths, and there's so many types of herb baths that we used to take as children, and just being treated with like deep connection with nature and using nature as really the healer throughout our entire lives has always been something that was very present for all of us growing up. And yeah, happy to share anything particular, but
Yeah.
that was very much part of my world.
Yeah, and what I'm noticing from what I'm understanding from what you're saying also is, um, a lot of these modalities are now mainstream, but you've been living like you've been living that type of life from the beginning of your existence. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, basically, we grew up with it, and so you had a cold or you had something. It's just like, oh, get this and this herb, and just let's do a bath with the such and such herb, so that we can really see energetically what's open there, and close it all off, or do a ceremony or a ritual in the mountains, and um, just really being connected with in today, saying that this is mainstream. It's amazing, and at the same time, it's like the world is ready for it, so
Yeah.
let it come out. Hmm.
Yes, amazing. Because I only speaking of medicine, when I had my journey with plant medicine just before Christmas in November, you were with me the whole time. You were the most dominant uh woman, person, um being with me every step of the way. And for anybody that doesn't know Nana, like, so, the name of the podcast is The Waves of Change. And Nana sang many songs to me in Portuguese. Is that right? Portuguese?
Not always in Portuguese. A lot of them were in Yoruba,
Yeah,
which is
what is
an
that?
African. Yoruba is an African dialect, and these chants, that language is the chants that we used most, the language that we used most growing up, and some of the chants may have been also in tribal language, like the Yawanawa from the Amazon.
Oh,
Or the Queen tribe. It really depends, but I believe that the ones that I particularly sang to you were very much Yoruba chants.
yeah. So just to highlight what I'm touching on here is, later on, like, Nana, the tears that, though each word penetrated my soul, and it was it was just this incredible warm feeling of love, healing, tenderness, a beautiful, powerful voice. And I always ask Nana to sing them again. I put them in here where I can get them on record and keep them for my in my archives. But later on, she went on to tell me that the songs she was singing about were about the ocean.
Mhm.
Yeah, so can you quickly touch on that?
So I guess you're referring to some of the chants that are from Yemanja,
Hmm.
Maya, like many people know, which was definitely then you in Yoruba. Um, and Yemaya is the goddess of the ocean, the gatekeeper of the ocean. So especially you, who surfs a lot, when we go in the water in the ocean, we touch the water first, and we ask permission and protection from Yemaya to enter. And um, to really just, it's as if we're entering somebody's house, right? We knock on the door, we say excuse me, and we get that permission in. And so just having that permission at just first is already a way to get protection, especially if the ocean is your playground.
Hmm.
So there are many chants of Yamaya, and it depends, and there's many qualities as well within the deity. So if you can think of, um, if Yamaya is the keeper of the ocean, and the goddess of the oceans, then we can see like an ocean that is near a waterfall, or has a quality, an ocean that has a river that has a river that ends in it, has a
Hmm.
different quality. An ocean that is
Yeah.
near a mountain and forest has a different quality from an ocean that has no forest, just like massive rocks. An ocean that is in the Amalfi Coast, very different from an ocean that is in Cancun, or in Brazil. And so the quality of what's present, the nature that it's present in each, defines the quality of Yemaya that we are chanting to.
Mm-hmm.
And also depending in, like, am I talking about the shore that I'm really, really close to land, or am I deep in the deep ocean? And am I talking about an ocean that is very tumultuous, or an ocean that is nice and easy? So all of these define the quality of the deity of Yemaya herself, because it's like the alchemy of that ocean with other elements.
Uh-huh.
And when we can call that in, we can actually, this is for self-healing. If I'm very much connected to ocean water, to the water overall, but very much to the ocean, and I'm very feeling very very, tumultuous in my energy, or very uneasy.
Ah, yeah.
And then I want to call in that soothing water, or that calmness. Then I can just connect with that ocean water, that Yemaya, that is from that quality um, of water that is calmer, to bring some of that quality to me. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, yeah. Like what I'm hearing in that is that everything is it's super direct, and you can
Mm.
call in whichever kind of energy that you wish to receive. And it's important that you are, clear with what you're calling in, because the deity has many powers and many energies that she can show up in any given
Yeah.
moment.
Absolutely. And so having the awareness that there are these different qualities of energetic qualities as well, right? The awareness is the first, the awareness precedes choice. So having the awareness first, that, that this is available, that it's not just and this is true for everything else in nature. We're talking about a waterfall, we're talking about mountains, we're talking about um, just ask when we ask ourselves, what is the element that I really connected to, and that I feel closest to, that I feel really at peace, that I feel at home with. Um, and then when I think about what's around it, and you can just like really see what type of that orisha, which is what the deity, or the keeper of that element, what that orisha is mixed with energetically.
So good.
Can you hear something banging, or it's
Not is it I can't hear anything. I can
you
just
can,
hear
okay,
like a
that's fine.
little.
But it's happening right here. If you can, I was just gonna ask them to stop.
Is it no, but what I am hearing is like a little bit of, I don't know whether it's echoey. Is I mean, it's fine. We can get it on the back end. We can get it
Okay.
on it. Just in case I don't want to hit any of this equipment. Technology, as you know, it's fun for me. But I just want to quickly touch on that. How energy speaks, and through, like I said, when you sang, whenever you sang to me or the group, I found deep resonance with that, and to for me to ask what the song was about and where you learned it. It's like my soul knew. So that was obviously, my love for the ocean is really, really deep. So when you sing or chant, it's like, it's just massive awareness, and it's beyond my mind, my thinking mind. It's deeply into my energetic aura, and to feel that level of connection, like I'm home or something. Um, yeah, it was beautiful to witness. And then now, like when you told me afterwards, it was beautiful to understand how powerful my intuition is as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you for that. And with your family, and so how local. So I don't know, where did you say you grew up? And then also, how local are you to the Amazon, and what part?
So I'm actually very far from the actual Amazon forest.
Mm-hmm.
So was born and raised in Rio, and that's more in the southeast of Brazil. And I actually first went to the Amazon, in the Peruvian Amazon. And that's when I had also my first ayahuasca ceremony. And that was with the Shipibo tribe. And since then, I have been very much more connected to the Queen tribe and the Yawanawa tribe. Um, and what's interesting is that although I was born in a family of medicine women and channelers and just really powerful medicine women, ayahuasca was never a part of my journey until it came to me in a dream.
Uh-huh.
Um, so this the African the African influence of the medicine world was very a lot more it was a lot stronger in my family growing up than the indigenous influence. And back in 2017, I had a dream, and that was basically the medicine guiding me to her. And right after I had that dream, a couple of weeks later, I ended up in Peru. And
Wow.
uh, after I climbed Machu Picchu Mountain. And when I climbed Machu Picchu Mountain, which was about a 2.5 hour climb, was very challenging to do alone. I went alone.
Wow.
I saw the same image that I saw in my dream. And that was like total confirmation that, I was exactly where I was meant to be. And everything was divinely orchestrated and in perfect alignment. And a couple of days after, that's when I had my first ayahuasca experience. And I don't know if you're familiar, but uh, with the Shipibos, um, they are mostly in the Peruvian Amazon, and a lot
Ah,
of their shamans, when they will serve you the medicine, they actually measure your energy.
ah,
So it's not like most places where you have one serving, two serving, three servings, and there's an option there and you choose, or everybody's having the same. No, the shaman gives you how much he thinks you should have, you
aha.
should receive based on the reading that he does to your energy. And I was there with the five other people that had never done medicine before either, and they we're all very anxious and with a lot of fear. And I was fine because I was just so dropped into um the knowing that, like, I I ended up there through a dream. Like it was nothing that called
Yeah,
me. It was no
yeah.
curiosity. It wasn't somebody talking about it. It wasn't anything. It was literally a dream that came to me. And so I was very grounded and very much at peace. And so the shaman was measuring everybody and giving them, the amount. They're just giving them a little bit to start, and a little bit here, a little bit there. And when it came to me, and when he was looking at other people, he would be like, "Oh, I can see that you're anxious. I can see that you're nervous. There's a lot of fear there." And then he would give the amount accordingly. And when it came to me, he looked at me and said, "Oh, she's been waiting for you."
Oh, stop it.
Um,
Wow.
and then he gave me a massive cup, and it was just like so intense. But at the same time, so revealing and such a key, and um, in that, like just integration of medicine that I had not, that we didn't have necessarily been close to because we're so connected to the African side of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um,
yeah.
and so it was just so beautiful. And since then, um the medicine, I spent two years integrating um the all that came through that first ceremony. And um after up until that 2 years, it was like very much like it was like I could very much feel the plant still working through me. And then after that 2 years, it was like, all right, now you're going to be put to work. And so that's
Wow.
when I started my work with, supporting more the work in with the medicine. And it's funny you mentioned before when you were in your ceremony. it felt like I was there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I hear that from a lot of people.
Mm.
They have a ceremony and then they send me a message after saying, "Oh my goodness, you were there with me and you're holding me and you're like nurturing me. Thank you." And so that's yeah, it's
Yeah,
not the first one.
it was incredible and amazing, and obviously I knew that you were, still with me, and you were in my heart. And as you were speaking there, I was also now what I'm sort of realizing, the way that integration, as you say, over 2 years, and she lives within now, and it's like like see even before I see the world from a different awareness, even from what I did before, and I feel like the ocean was surrounding me as well. That's what's coming through right now. And
That goosebumps as you said that.
you got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And the the dominant thing that I'm recognizing inside of this interview right now is intuition. Um, but yeah, just quickly, like you are with me every moment, like every moment when the women sang, like it was there's some of the most profound teachings. So two things I'll highlight: the intelligence of the plants and intuition. But firstly, you were with me every step of the way. When the women sang, there was some stages where I felt your warmth and your love, and then also the flow of your femininity, and then I'm guessing now is the flow of the ocean. It's just to ride the waves, because my big thing was I was the same. I had no anxiousness, or the only thing I was a little bit concerned about was I had black beans, because I hadn't read the what not to eat before, and stop eating at 2 p.m. because we went straight into it. But so I was like, I hope that doesn't purge out or whatever, and then so I end up the same. Darpan has been sugar. Maybe I need to check that name and get it out there. But he has been sitting for over 40 years, and he is mentored by Osho. And yeah, so yeah, I in the end I end up having 3 cups, and it was the same. He when he went up, we sit in front of the altar, and then he would look at you, measure your energy, how you are, and then he's got a measuring cup, and he give it to you accordingly. And at the back end of the second one, I was starting to cross over, and but the thought had already come up, to have a third, and it was a beautiful little dance with my ego and my mind, which the whole journey was a beautiful dance with my ego and my mind, because it kept trying to label things. So when I was having an experience or journey, and it was saying, "Oh, look, you're dancing," or "Oh, look, this has happened," or, and I was like, "Nah, surrender, let go, I trust." Um, and that was my intention, to allow the medicine to bring me wherever I needed to go in order to heal. And yeah, once I had a third one, then it was like, you're in it now, you're in it, and it was intense. It was incredibly intense, but I was also well supported. Like at no stage was I freaked out, like at no stage. And again, whenever the mind was coming in, like when I started the purge at one stage, um, it was super direct and intentional to what happened. One of the guys hit a drum, and it was like he hit a baseball into the pit of my stomach, but it was right down in the bottom of my abdomen, and it was like crunched in and really direct. And then eventually I ended up outside, leaning over the grass. But when my hands hit the grass, it was like the earth's core came right up and connected with what was going on in my stomach and sucked it out. So whatever that trauma or poison, whatever it was that was in my body was, removed violently. But yeah, just to come back to the intuition of it all, because I waited 8 years. I knew I wanted to do it, and I waited 8 years. I was supposed to go to Peru in 2016 in May, and I met Saoirse in January, and I moved up to Sydney. So instead of going with my mate to the Amazon, I come up here, and like it's the best thing I ever done. Um, so in regards to intuition, what I'm saying is the dominant thing in your life and how everything is coming about here. Can you speak of, yeah, the importance of trusting your intuition?
Yeah. I mean, it's my guiding system, and I believe it to be every human being's or every being guiding system. And we have been so disconnected from our inner world, our inner wisdom, to look for sources of information and validation and guidance outside of ourselves. First thing you do when you don't know something, you look on Google, right? First thing you
Yes.
do, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just like just Google is the first thing. Then you asking people, searching what other people have done, searching how they have experienced other things,
Mm,
searching how things have been like rated, um, and searching how it's going to be received, if it's going to be something a popular decision or not. And so we've been so conditioned to make decisions based on control, validation, approval, right? And just survival altogether, that we have, I believe, we have very much completely disconnected from our guiding system, which is our
uh-huh.
intuition. And intuition is not a feeling, it's a knowing, right? And so when people say, "But how can you trust a feeling? Your feelings change all the time." Well, intuition is not a feeling. And yes, your feeling changes all the time. Your thoughts dictate your emotions dictate your thoughts. Um, and it can become just like this never-ending cycle. So to me, it's also very important not to, when I'm like total excitement and just really super high about something, I just let it come down and just like go from the emotion to actually the knowing, which to me resides deep in my body, in my guts. And it's just like I just know. And at the same time, we want certainty. Just when I say I know, it doesn't mean that I'm certain about an outcome. It just means that I know in my body
Mm,
that this is an action that I get to take. And um, I trust that the outcome is for the highest good of my evolution and the highest good of all parties involved. So it's just when we're making these decisions on control, on like knowing the outcome, on trying to get every information there ready for us so that we can make the best decision, not the right decision for us,
mm-hmm.
but what our mind think is the best decision. um, it it usually will fall flat. It will be
Aha.
like, not great, not sometimes bad, sometimes great for a moment, and because it will, bring in pleasure or escapism in a certain way, but it's not going to be in our highest truth in that moment, because I went to so many other sources besides my own self. So in my life, um, I have always led from intuition. And let me rephrase this, because I too am human, and I lead from ego as well, sometimes, even if I try not to. But uh, the pivotal moments of my life, the most important moments of my life, I can come to you with certainty that these were led from intuition, including leaving home when I was 15 alone to live in a different country that I didn't know, I didn't speak the languages. Um, and living a lifestyle where I had everything here in Brazil, to figure everything out in a different country. To me, that was like the first big moment where I was like that I really where really started living my life from intuition. Um, and it was hard. Living from intuition doesn't mean it's easy or that it's gonna be, butterflies and fireworks all the time. It just means
Yeah.
that deep inside, you know it's right. You know,
Uh-huh.
it could be something that could be hard as hell. It could be painful, leaving a relationship,
Uh-huh.
taking action that every part of your being, of your brain's telling you don't do it, but you just know deep inside that you gotta do it.
Uh-huh.
And that can be really hard, but still trusting that, and everything that opens up, the life that opens up for you, the
Yeah.
opportunities, the possibilities, and the deep, like, highest levels of joys and love and pleasure that open up when you follow that, because you're because you're deeply attuned to your being and what it is that it's in the highest good for your soul, and knowing that we're always evolving beings, perfect, whole, and complete, and unfinished. And so when I can uh, just look at my life and know and accept that I'm an unfinished piece of art, a
Mm-hmm.
masterpiece, I can just always open up space for myself to evolve and welcome the unknown, because I am unknown to myself. Even let me become and see what this next version of me, how it wants to be expressed in the world, and what's available at that point.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing. And on a deeper level as well, when we trust our intuition and things that line up, it starts to give us that belief that there's something there that's greater than ourselves, and we're connected to source. And then there's a huge level of confidence, and it gives more confidence to stand in their power and stand in their truth. And I mean, it doesn't always have to be medicine type things. It could be in a work situation, it could be in a relationship, or a toxic relationship that you want to walk away from, or simply honoring your voice of what's really going on in your head. If you want to, if you're struggling in a way, but what in from my experience, what I understand is once we start to at least admit or open up to that possibility of your intuition is telling you something, and you honor whatever it is it's telling you in regards to definitely out, like, speaking the truth if you're struggling. Um, it's like a house of cards that collapses. So a massive power comes. You feel that power, that energetics in your aura, and a confidence to continue to be as open as that, which is in the greater benefit to yourself because there's no pressure there. It's more flow.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that, it's also important to emphasize that, for people that would love to tap more into their intuition and that want to lead their lives from intuition, if you've never really done it, if you've been looking for outside sources of guidance, for most of your decision making, then it's going to be a new language that you're learning to speak with your body,
Hmm.
right? And some people will be like, "Oh, this doesn't work," or "This wasn't right," or "This created massive pain," and the whole thing blew up, and it's like, great. Who said it wasn't supposed to blow up? Who said it wasn't supposed to cause pain? Because you're a human being. Welcome. You're gonna feel pain, right?
Uh-huh.
We're trying to like avoid so many things in our lives, but I think what's important here is it's a new language. So expect to stumble.
Hmm.
Expect to not to speak that fluently at first, because you're just learning that new language with your body. The good thing is that your body remembers that language. And the
Uh-huh.
moment that you actually practice enough in a tune, then it's just like, okay, now I know. It won't take forever, like to learn, an actual language. It's your body knows. It's just like really, um, uh, you know, tuning tuning into it,
Yeah.
and knowing that it sometimes it will take time and it will take a lot
Hmm.
of failed quote unquote tries, and that's okay. That's okay. You're honoring what you know was deep in your was true in your heart in that moment. And then it's just like it's just, it's not that it's right or wrong, it's just that let's get a little bit more attuned and more
Mhm.
refined. And then that clarity is just so beautifully there.
And thank you for highlighting that. It's not one of these things that we just, we turn on this switch and all of a sudden everything is rosy. It's great. It's like perfect. There's so many fucking levels to this that, you know, even though, sometimes people would probably look at your profile and my profile and think that we're always happy. Um, but that is just simply not the case. We because of being in tune sometimes like this, it means you feel everything, both empathically and energetically from whatever. And when things are not working out, we notice it straight away as well. So part of evolution, this is for everybody. So if you think that, oh my God, this is hurting me right now, or why is everything a mess, or why is everything chaotic? Why has, this shown up in my life? Yeah, instead of being a victim to why that showed up, be curious about it, because whatever pain or turbulence you're going through in that moment is preparing you for your next level of growth and the next chapter of your life, and
Absolutely.
which is also beautiful, because I wanted to segue into the intelligence of the plants, Nana. And when I say those two words, what comes up for you?
And so just before we go there,
Yeah.
um, I would love to just touch on a point where around what you shared,
Uh-huh.
something's hurting, it feels uncomfortable, not becoming a victim. We've been trained to avoid the discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And for anything that indicates a state of permanency, to me, is a fraud,
Uh-huh.
because life is anything but permanent, a permanent state. Everything is always flowing, everything is always harmonizing. Even the word balance to me is the biggest BS word that exists in vocabulary. That doesn't, people are searching for balance. That doesn't exist. What exists is harmony. Look in nature. Nature is always harmonizing itself. There's we don't in one day we don't have a perfect temperature of cold and hot, and leaves shedding, and fruits coming out. No, we have seasons, and these seasons, though, that means that it's nature harmonizing itself. It's finding,
Mm-hmm.
it's playing with its state. And so this idea that balance equals equality, for our state of beingness, to me, is a fraud. So when if you're looking at somebody and thinking that they're always happy, just know that that's impossible, because
Uh-huh.
that means
Uh-huh.
that they're not they're not they're not human. And uh, when we're trying to avoid the discomfort, we're trying to avoid our nature of being human.
Uh-huh.
We are experiencing the emotions. Not every animal experiences these emotions that we get to experience. It's a
Uh-huh.
gift. Being in this skin suit, being in this body itself, is a massive gift, because we get to feel so much that we wouldn't in other life forms.
Mhm. So good.
And that means welcoming all of it, welcoming all of these states of being, and just not running away from it, getting curious, yeah, and also accepting it, because the moment we can accept it, then we can look at it from curiosity. Otherwise, we're just avoiding it. We're getting curious to actually push it away. So why is
Uh-huh.
it there? I don't want it there. What is it trying to tell me? This is me being curious. Actually, this is me being inquisitive,
Yeah.
but not really curious, because curious is from a place of openness, from a place of creativity.
Uh-huh.
So the acceptance first, to me, is uh, needed before the curiosity can come in, and
Yeah.
then the
And I just want to highlight on that. I took a note just before you carried on. It's incredible. Um, when some people you hear, I know from my experience, people say, "Oh, why is it always me?" That ends up in an accident or whatever it is. But why am I always sad? Why am I always the one who was this, that, and the other? And instead of questioning that and welcoming it and asking exactly what you said, what is it here to teach me? Can I can hear that banging now.
Oh, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Let me know, and I'll ask them to stop.
Cool. And what is it here to teach me? So instead of painting yourself as that victim, why is life happening to me? Instead of being curious and say life is happening for me, what is this episode here to teach me? Um, so yeah, just to highlight that for you, Nana, or for the
Yeah,
listener.
yeah. And I'm not sure if the listeners are familiar with the four stages of consciousness, um, which the first one you mentioned, life is happening to me. I'm a victim. I'm a consequence of the external factors in the world, and God, Buddha, Allah, the universe, is doing something to me. Then the second one, which you mentioned, life is happening for me. Things are here to teach me something. Everything is a gift. Everything is an opportunity. Um, uh, life is everything's happening through me. Now we start tapping into that I'm the creator of my life,
Yeah.
right? And I'm the one who's actually taking ownership of things that are happening, and life is happening as me,
Yes.
meaning I am the universe, I am the creator, and the state that I choose, what I am is what's going to be in the outside. Everything is a mirror of what I am inside, period.
Mm,
And when we can get into a state that life is happening as me, then it's like everything is an absolute mirror, a mirror that you're like, huh, like how, what is this? How is my internal world experiencing what I'm seeing right now? And if
mm,
it's something that it's uncomfortable, then I can just really dive deep and seeing like what am I trying to avoid? What am I trying to um, escape? What am I not trying to see? What am I trying to um, in ask these questions from curiosity, uh, but knowing that everything that is happening in your world is a mirror and is happening as you.
beautiful. Thank you for that, Nana. And yeah, just quickly, the intelligence of the plants. What does that
Yeah,
mean to you? What do you hear from that?
yeah. Um, it Everything carries consciousness, right? A rock carries consciousness. A herb carries consciousness. When you drink a tea, and you're drinking, let's say, chamomile tea to just soothe and like wind down, uh, you're drinking the consciousness of that herb. You're drinking the consciousness of that plant that is working through you. When you uh, uh, use ignatia, for immune system. That's the blueprint of the consciousness of that plant. And then we get into things like uh, ayahuasca, which is the mix of different plants, right? Of a leaf and the vine.
Mhm.
Uh, Jagubi and Chacrona in Portuguese, and we're drinking the consciousness um, of these plants together. And to me, the uh, the intelligence of this medicine is the closest thing I've ever experienced to unconditional love.
Wow.
Um, Meaning that when I'm in it, every veil of fear gets lifted. Every veil of doubts and questions get lifted, all the stories get lifted, is just what is. Let's like going back to that uh, uh, point of consciousness that I am, and that alignment that I am, that I am love. And so the, the wisdom and the intelligence of love to me is what works through these plans.
Uh-huh.
And again, it's a tool. And just like any tool, the person who's using it is what dictates how effective and how well this tool is going to be used. Uh, so a lot of people that will, when these things get lifted and they get so close to that beautiful state of being that they are, but then they don't actually integrate all those things that got lifted into their real life,
Uh-huh.
into their
Uh-huh.
actual
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
their 3D world life, then you're just you're escaping this life that very much is we're experiencing, to live in that very elevated state, um, uh, through that medicine only. And so I guess the trick for us, and I think something that the medicine really wants us to all know, is that we're here to have access to what she is here to show us what's available.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our job to take that and really integrate it into our 3D world so that we can experience life as such 24/7,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
even when it's difficult, even when it's hard, because the purge in a ceremony is really hard. Is very is it can be very strong. It
Uh-huh.
can be brutal sometimes.
Uh-huh.
But um,
Yes, I agree.
but we're still in that state of love. We're still in that state of
Mm-hmm.
like surrender and connection. And so um, uh, it, the plant has deep wisdom, and to me is it carries the wisdom of unconditional love
Mm.
and everything that means here on earth in all forms of expressions.
Yes, beautiful. And it's infinite, and you like as old as the Amazon is and all the trees on the planet. It's like, if they've seen everything, they have seen everything. So if they do speak through this medicine, though, it's like, if people could really hear what they had to say and the history of the world in which we reside, it's there wouldn't be as many fears in the world, is my belief. People were in touch with that side.
And they're very simple. Like you talk to different tribes and the way and how they be, the way they live and be and choose and make decisions and do things is very simple. You want to
Uh-huh.
do something, you do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You want to do
That's a
something,
huge one with my
go do it.
clients. Yeah, what I noticed with a lot of my clients, with all of my clients, including myself, but now I'm in the awareness zone of it. So when I hear myself say "try," the word "try," I'm going to try to do something.
Yeah,
It's the very first thing I pull out with all of my clients, and we do this little fun game slash exercise then for the rest of our time together, the 3 or 4 months, whatever they chose. Just to bring a conscious awareness to how much they say it, and then there's also a challenge in there that brings a bit of fun aspect to it. So it's not a punishment, but it's a contribution if
yeah,
they find themselves. But the idea is to turn on the awareness around how much it's been, being used from the subconscious mind,
yeah.
and then they get to change and be aware of it and change it if they want to.
Yeah, and that that has been shown to me in ceremonies, that nature and the universe doesn't like tentative and anything.
Yeah,
And so the whole idea of trying it already on itself, in its foundation is tentative, and that's already setting it up for a wishy-washy
yeah,
energy
yeah.
that's going to be involved. Um, and the universe really doesn't like that because it's
Mm.
anything that's tentative, it's lacking direction, it's
Yeah.
lacking that impulse and momentum because it's kind of like it, the context here and there's some movement, but it might just like stay fall flat.
Hmm.
So when we can actually go with like I get to and I will, I'm
Yes.
claiming it, I'm declaring it, then it's
Yeah.
just there's that masculine forward motion for whatever it is that is wanting to come through you in your
And
design.
it also helps everything to flow a lot easier because you've made an empowered decision. But with all of that, this is a great segue into, I highlight you mentioned moving to a different country at the age of 15, and also from my experience, another huge. So these are two massive waves of change in your life. And another massive one was your career change. We literally walked this path at the same time in regards to, the crossover between careers. So two things. One, what was it like for you moving from? So from what countries did you move from? You obviously left Brazil. Where did you go to? What was that transition like? And yeah, take it from there.
Yeah, so moved from Brazil to Canada, Montreal. And the whole idea was that there I could learn two languages that I didn't speak at the time. So it was just like one country, like, or one province, one city, two languages, let's do it. It was extremely exciting and scary at the same time. Because exciting because I knew that was it, and scary because it was unknown. I knew nothing about it. I didn't speak the language. I knew nothing in the country. Didn't really know the people that I was going to stay with. Um, and it it was difficult. It was really hard, and it was a lot of tests to see if that was really something I was committed to. And ultimately, every time, like I was. And
Hmm.
um, I don't know. I just knew I was gonna live there. And I also knew when it was done because I lived there for 18 years. And last year in September, it was just like, it's time to go. Go. And it was again that knowing. And I had a
Ah.
condo at that point and a car and all the things. And it was like, okay, universe, if I gotta go, then help me. Help me figure all of this out because if you're telling me to go, then you figure it all out. Figure the logistics out. Um, and the universe said, okay, no problem. The week after, I got a call from my dealership saying that they needed some of the models of my car, and they wanted to buy my car. So no problem. Just took it back, and then it was getting tenants for my condo was a similar experience where I also knew very much who I wanted to be in energetics, who I wanted to have in my condo, and absolutely love my space and didn't want to just have anybody, and wanted to really put people there that matched the energy. And it wasn't until 3 days before I actually left that I got the tenants, and had 3 days to move my entire thing out. And when I left, 2 days later, they closed the border of Canada for months. Um,
Wow.
so everything, it was just like so lined up, and uh, and again, I just knew it was time to go. But it was very scary because I didn't know where I'm going. I don't know how long I'm going for. I don't know what's next. I had an entire life at this point, 18 years. I have lived more in Montreal than in Brazil at that point.
Yeah.
So 18 years of life to uproot and leave behind, quote unquote, to step into the unknown. And it was just a massive choice that I made, and it purely based on intuition.
And well, like I was part of all of that journey, and it was incredible to witness. Um, yeah, it was just incredible to witness you as a soft-spoken yet ferocious medicine woman. It's like, right, it's all gonna work itself out. I can remember there's nobody for my condo, and then all of a sudden you had I think it was a family, a young family. Are they still there? Really quickly,
They're still there.
they're
Yeah.
still there. Okay, and then what was I going to say? The decision. Yeah, firstly, so, part of the reason for this podcast is, for people to, witness that just because we were a certain way before, it doesn't mean we have to stay that way forever. And it's in the transition of identities that, our true potential and growth and power is found. And, and it's a fucking hugely scary time going through a time of uncertainty like you did. And then obviously with everything that's happening today. So can you speak about the fear you were going through during that process? Or what was coming up in your mind emotionally, energetically, yeah, and all of the things.
Yeah. I, it's mostly lack of control,
Mm,
of not knowing how things will turn out, not knowing what's next, not knowing what tomorrow will look like, not knowing, not having that, when you have a foundation and a routine, and the known is so comfortable, and when you make a decision like this, and you just trust instead of trying to control everything, there's a lot of unknown. So it's that uncomfortability with the unknown that many of us try to escape from. And that to me, I personally have learned to embrace, because that's just how I choose to live my life. And um, uh, just trust what's wanting to come through next, knowing that I don't need to know up here to know here
uh-huh,
that everything
uh-huh,
was perfectly aligned. So it was just a lot of, like, there's some anxiety, there's some questions, and these things come through, just like, oh, okay, I'm trying to control it. I'm trying to know too far ahead. What do I need to know now? What's the next first step?
uh-huh,
And let's just do that. And yeah, every time it's just like, what, where am I okay now? Am I good now? And all I need to know is just the next step. I do not
uh-huh.
need to know more than that. And when I can live life like that, then I have a lot more energy and body space available for joy and pleasure and play and adventure, because I'm in the present moment.
So good. So good. And again, just to highlight, Rome wasn't built in a day, which is one of the biggest quotes, or what would one of the biggest quotes that is ever said about, moving too fast, or, trusting the process, or trusting the time that it's taken. And yeah, if we see things as short term, like my mom, when I was leaving for Australia, like I went and said my goodbyes to everybody. And when I was leaving my mom's flats, I broke down uncontrollably, like sobbing, crying. And I don't know, it was like everything came at once. I hadn't cried like that, I don't think, ever. Anyways, my ma was sort of like, you'll be grand. You'll be her friend, and I was there. She was like, you'll be fine, relax, relax, it's all right. And she said to me, Darragh, if it doesn't work out, you just catch a flight home. And
Yeah.
that has stayed with me all the way till now. It's one of the biggest foundations with me living abroad. It's like, if I need to be home, I can be home tomorrow, type of thing, or I
Yeah.
can be home in one day. So, just in regards to, instead of looking to the mountain, just focus on the next step, or the step that you're
Yeah.
currently standing in.
Yeah. And something you share there, that thing to rely, or to lean into if things go no don't go well, or don't go according to what your desires, um, is that, to me, is that safety,
Mm-hmm.
that allows for us to grow in any environment. So that support, that safety in family and people that we love, um, and that trust from these people as well. It's just so pivotal to uh, not pivotal, but it's so important for us to really embrace pivotal moments in our lives
Uh-huh.
because that courage and that um, uh, in that knowing that hey, you're good no matter what because you
Uh-huh. Yes.
got
Yes.
this and we got you is everything, and it you know I one of my favorite things that I really live by is that everything in nature thrives in its own essence and in its own conducive environment. So when I can truly be myself in an environment that I feel really safe to grow and evolve in, um, then nothing can stop me because that trust and um, that encouragement from people that we love is sometimes everything, all we need to make massive decisions like that.
Yes, I love it. And you literally landed on my word. Decisions and the importance of decision making, and also how it can be in free flow. Like no decision is final. If we make a decision in one direction and it doesn't work that way, we can decide another
Yeah.
direction. So, just in regards to clarity and being, grounded in our decision, and also from a universal standpoint, and being protected by God or whatever you want to call it, um how much easier and flowy it is when we decide what our next step is. Can you speak into that?
Um, yeah. Once you choose,
Mhm.
then the universe can actually conspire in your
Yes.
you know, until you choose, then the universe, like, you don't know. You're like putting out that energy of, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Somebody tell me what to do. Somebody save me. Then the universe is just going to be a mirror. The universe is always a yes button. So it's just going to respond with more, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Somebody needs to come save you. But
Hmm.
when you put a direction forward, energetic, and you make that commitment and you start taking the steps to do it fully, not tentative, not band-aid solutions, not pretend that you are, but secretly having a massive safety net there, trying to there to protect you. You just go all in yourself. Then the universe will go all in on you because the universe always
Yeah,
answers with a yes.
yeah,
Does that mean that it's going to be easy and super comfortable all the time? Absolutely not. That's the whole point of growth, right? That's the whole point of like growing and building the body and the vessel that is in alignment with your highest desires. If you're living your life and your highest desire is here and you don't currently have it yet, just it just means that you don't have the body to hold it yet, and you're just growing and building it and
uh-huh,
expanding it so that it can hold that thing. And as you expand it, you might maybe find out that that thing was not really it. It
yeah,
was
yeah,
something behind it. And but now because you're
yeah,
expanded, you can see it. And then you
yes,
can call it something that is even greater and better than what you were calling it in the first place.
yes, incredible. And Nana, as well, in regards to, the importance of pleasure for women, and the importance of pleasure in growth. Yeah, the importance of pleasure in growth. Can you just touch on that really quickly?
Yeah. Um, uh, it Pleasure to me is your birthright, is
Uh-huh.
our birthright as human beings. And when I go back into the feeling and being in this birth suit, we are able to experience so much pleasure just because we are in this skin. Just look at your our senses, what the food we can taste. When you can see something beautiful, you experience pleasure. When you touch somebody you love, when you experience love, when you can experience a deep emotion, there's that deep sense, a sense of pleasure in your experience. And so, so many of us grew up with this idea that we have to earn
Uh-huh.
uh, pleasure, that we have to do something in order to feel pleasure, that we have to work really hard in order to have a weekend off, that we have to, kill ourselves on something that we don't like to be doing in the first place, so that I can have 2 week vacation at some point in a year. That and it's just it's just the biggest bullshit.
Uh-huh.
I can't even fathom being in that world again. And I too was in there. When I can commit to my pleasure, and this is not just for women, when I can commit to living in my pleasure and choosing everything from a place of pleasure, and
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you really, and again, um, just because it's hard, it doesn't mean that you can't find pleasure in it. And the
Yeah.
best example that I have of that is a woman giving birth.
Yes.
It's hard and painful as hell. And just the pleasure of that experience is why so many women go through it in the first place. The pleasure of having that baby, the pleasure of being in motherhood, of walking being in that in that stage of your life. And so, just when I say pleasure, it doesn't mean pleasure in the moment. It's like pleasure in your beingness, like
Mm.
making a hard decision and finding pleasure in, like, oh my gosh, I honored myself.
Yes. Yes. Boom.
Saying something that is really hard, or expressing a desire, or saying no to somebody, and then being able to say that and then jumping of joy because for the first time you said no, for the
Mm-hmm.
first time you actually spoke your mind around something. There's deep pleasure in that. And it's hard as hell to go through that experience for the first couple of times, and then it's a muscle, and then it becomes
Mm-hmm.
easy. Where the pleasure doesn't go away, it just keeps on growing. So when we can fully live from pure pleasure and play and joy, to me, we're really honoring our soul's desire, and that's the easiest way to be in full alignment with your soul.
Yes. Incredible. Incredible. Quickly touch on what it was like to have, your sister and your mom as part of the plant medicine retreat with you and all these
Oh
incredible
my
women.
goodness. It was such a gift. It was a true gift from the universe to have them there, because it was not planned at all for them to be there. As a matter of fact, I had invited my mom a couple of times and she said she wasn't going to go. They didn't
Okay.
really understand what it was. My sister didn't even know what I was doing. They don't really understand much of like what I do. And 2 weeks before the retreat, I brought them to the location because I just had to like look at some logistic stuff. And they just being in that space, they were like, whatever you're doing here, we want to be a part of it.
Oh,
Um,
whoa.
and it
It's got
was just so,
chills.
so special. It was such a gift, deeply healing for me, um, uh, and for the women that were part of it to experience us in that context. For my sister, it was extremely powerful because she got in touch with her medicine woman as well, and
Oh,
her power and her love for playing drums and the space that she holds when she plays is just so powerful. Um, so it was really, really strong, and an honor, a deep, deep honor for me as the carrier of our family lineage and wisdom and tradition.
yeah, that's so beautiful. Absolutely love to share a moment like that with my family and my siblings. Um, Nana, thank you very much for your wisdom, for your time, for your energy, your love, your joy, all of it. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you?
So find me through Instagram and Facebook at nanademelo.com. But thank you. And because you mentioned so much about the singing, I would love to just maybe bring in a chant here if you'd like.
Love it. Go.
Beautiful. I hope it doesn't cut off, but I just hope that it will
Which
just
I
come through.
trust.
Um, but maybe we can honor some moment of silence at the end and just close,
Okay.
let the listeners.
So before you go, then there's one question, and it's what does the waves of change mean to you?
The ways of change to me just means um, the embracing of life.
Hmm.
To fully embrace life is to fully embrace change and
Yes.
live the deepest levels of joy, love, and pleasure and growth that are available to you while we're in this physical experience.
Yes. Thank you very much, Nana. Now the
Awesome.
floor is yours. Bless me. Bless me.
Thank you again for everybody listening, and it's such a pleasure to just again be in this space with you. So I'll bring in a chant of Yemanja, Yemaya, and uh, yeah, just close your eyes and receive. Yemanja, Yacinda, Yemanja, Komaru, Yemanja, Yacinda, minha doce Yemanja, 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 Yacinda, Yemanja, Komaru, Yemanja, Yacinda, minha doce Yemanja, Yemanja, doce, Iarapuru, Iamanja, Komaru, Iarapuru, doce, Iamanja, Komaru, Iara. Saravai Yemanja, Eudocia. May the blankets of Yemanja protect you and hold you and guide you through your ways of change.
Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If anything resonated for you, please leave a comment below. If there's anyone who may need to hear, please share. I love this. Have a lovely day.